Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup Podcast, episode 85. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
How is it going?
Nostalgia has hit me in ways this week it has not in a very long time.
Touched you in all the private places?
All the right places. The right places.
Okay, all right.
In good ways. My reference to nostalgia is going to be 1, the Pokemon trading card game, and 2, Warhammer 40,000. So, a little different this week.
Yeah.
But figured it'd be fun and enough things added together to make it worth a discussion.
Sure.
So, nostalgia. Navigating it. It can pull you in weird places.
Okay.
See what I did there? So, it's just... Okay, we'll start with the one that I will probably spend less time on, which is the Pokemon trading card game. I got a message in the Discord saying that on the Switch... It's not an emulator, but basically the Switch has an emulator for Game Boy games and N64 and stuff like that, right? And the way I learned to play the Pokemon trading card game as a kid was the Game Boy game. That's how I learned the rules. I was already collecting the cards, but I didn't know how to play. And there was no YouTube videos that I could go look it up on.
Wait, so you have to explain this because I don't get it. There's a
Game Boy game for Game Boy Color. That is
the trading card game?
That is the trading card game.
I did not know that.
And you go from gym to gym, but they're not gyms. They're called clubs.
Okay.
And you have to collect the legendary cards.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. I had no idea that existed.
Yeah. And so it's super cool. And I opened it up and it takes you through the demo game and basically tells you what to do each turn, and then you have to do it. The UI is not
clunky
aged
and Game
well.
Boy.
It's Game Boy. Yeah. But it took me right back, and it just, I don't know. It's a very simple game. The Pokemon card game is not a difficult game, especially when this game came out and there were only a couple sets, I think. Because it came out in 98, which puts me at 7.
Yeah, that sounds about the right timing.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I was the demographic, and it taught me how to play the game, and that's when I got to be able to start playing on the playground, was because I learned from the Game Boy game. So that's out now, and I was playing that this morning, and it was a ton of fun. The first one walks you through, it tells you what to do, you do it, and then it opens you up. You get to pick one of your starter decks. So you can either do Charmander and Friends, Bulbasaur and Friends, or Squirtle and Friends, and then they're all the different clubs. So obviously you pick the Charmander and Friends, and then you go to the Grass Club and you stomp them, and then you get cards. It's very similar to Pokemon. You pick the starter, you go to the opposite, and then you crush them, and then you get those, and then you go crush the other thing.
I never even knew that was a thing in the major Pokemon games because, as you know, I haven't really played them.
Yeah, there's weaknesses and stuff like that.
Yeah, I knew there were strengths and weaknesses, but I never thought, I got Charmander to start, I should go to Grasslands. Isn't it kind of linear? Isn't the story a little linear?
Yeah, in the Pokemon games, it's linear.
Okay, good. So I didn't miss that. I was like, I don't think I remember seeing that option.
Yeah. Besides the most recent one where you can really go wherever.
That's a more open world one, right?
Yeah. But Scarlet Violet. But the other ones are more linear, and you pick one, your favorite, because some are better early, some are better later, but you can usually get another Pokemon of that type and then just do the same.
Got it.
But yeah.
Fun.
It's been fun. I'm going to definitely... It made me pick up the Switch again for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah, I haven't picked up the Switch since Animal Crossing.
1998 Game Boy game.
Yeah, that's that's not unusual.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens, especially with Nintendo.
Yeah.
They have a tendency to re-release their older stuff, and everyone's like, oh yeah. And Game Boy Advance had one of those 10 of the games on a cartridge from the previous ones or something like that.
Yeah. Nintendo definitely knows how to hit nostalgia.
Oh yeah, that's their whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they're very good.
They do it very well. Second one, Warhammer 40,000. I played my first game since high school yesterday.
That is insane. That is throwback. So we talked about this at various times where it's sometime in your 20s or so, you're like worried about how you're socially accepted and you're trying to fit in and stuff like that. And then when you get to your 30s, on your way to your 40s, you're essentially trying to unprogram that stuff, and you cast off the things you rejected when you were, in your 20s, and slowly devolve back into a feral child. By the time you're 40 or so, you're basically just the kid you were in middle school or high school, whatever that joyous time was in your heart, except you have money. Yeah.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very fun. I felt like I was in high school again. Obviously, it was 5th edition when I played. Now it's 10th edition. It's a lot simpler now. There aren't as many crazy things.
That's good.
It is not a simple game.
No war game can be because of the nature of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But comparatively, like, we just went and the person I was playing against had already gotten a couple games in this edition. So he was kind of moving us along. But by the second round, I had a couple questions, but by the second round, I was kind of like, all right, I got this. Of like the flow and
now you're thinking big strategy instead of how do I.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It was a ton of fun. Playing the Leagues of Votann. They are the worst army currently.
Are they really?
Yes.
Why you picked the worst army?
Because they're the ones that I got the army box of like a year ago and didn't do anything with, and now I'm opening and building and doing stuff with.
So what are they? What are the Leagues of Votann? What is that?
They are squats.
Squats. They brought those back, huh?
They brought them back. And they are true space dwarves. Like, imagine space dwarves imagine dwarves in StarCraft armor.
Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember back to my day when I played, because I played pretty early, but not the earliest.
Yeah.
I want to say 2nd edition was still a thing when I started. Because 1st edition was the beakies, right? They had the pointy faces. 2nd edition, they chopped that off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or was that 3rd? Whichever one it was where they chopped that off.
I didn't get until 5th.
Yeah, it was one of those. It might have been 3rd. It might have been 2nd. I can't remember. Whichever one it was. That's when I played. So, but they still had images from the older books and some of the newer books. So you had the pictures of the beakies, and you're like, what the heck? They look so weird. That's so funny. Okay, and squats were in that 1st edition, I think, but they were not in the edition I played.
And they were more of like a biker gang.
Okay.
Which is true because they still have bikes and they're still pretty cool. But they're their own thing. They're Xenos, so they're not part of the Imperium, which a lot of people get confused. They're like, oh, they're like dwarf space marines, but they're not part of the Imperium. They think the Emperor is silly, and basically they spend all their time in their mountains, with the mountains being the core of the galaxy, and them mining away in places where other races can't live, except the orcs, because the orcs can get there, because the orcs are everywhere. And so the dwarves, of course, the dwarves and the orcs hate each other.
Of course.
That's like the whole thing. Which is
as
awesome.
Always. Yeah,
It's
that's actually funny.
It's very Tolkien dwarf in space.
I like that the core is like the mountains, because I'm pretty sure, and if you're a science nerd, let me know in the comments below. I'm pretty sure that is accurate to how mass collects. You know how rings of planets and such, it's like the densest stuff goes towards the middle of the gravity well, and the lighter stuff kind of floats on the outside. And so in a galaxy, you should have a thicker ring somewhere in the middle area or closer to the core, where it's going to have more dense stuff like diamonds and gems and stuff that dwarves would love.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely.
I love it. It's fun.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they are the newest race, so there's some that's inherently makes them weaker in a way, because there's just less types of units. And so they don't have as wide of a range. But that also is appealing to someone like me who's just getting back into it and know that I only have to choose from these things, and that they're all pretty much readily available, and there's nothing that I have to go hunting for besides the Sagittar.
Yeah.
But
what's a Sagittar?
It's like a small vehicle transport.
Gotcha. So how did you play? How did you do?
I lost, but I was winning until the last round.
Oh, so wow.
It was actually a pretty close game, and I did pretty well. Because after the first round, I held 3 of the 4 objectives, and then I have a secondary objective that I gained 4 extra victory points for holding objective that I picked at the beginning of the game. And so I held those, I think, for 2 rounds, and that jettisoned me super far in the lead, and then I slowly lost that lead as the game went on. I ended the game having 0 models left, and I don't think I even killed a unit. I almost killed 1 unit, the weakest unit.
Oh no! Wow, that's a real bad wipe. I didn't realize it was that disbalanced.
Yeah.
Oh,
but well, it's all about the victory points.
That's so even if you lose all your units, it's not a loss.
You can still win.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool. Interesting.
Yeah,
that's new. That's definitely new. That wasn't a thing before.
Yeah, it's very much a objective based compared to yes, it's good to wipe out your opponent, but doesn't necessarily mean you win. You have to play objectives.
Interesting. Yeah, that's probably good then.
Yeah,
that makes it a little bit more viable to play weird, like the Imperial Guard, and so they were just inherently weaker by their nature.
Right, and it's also so the format we were playing was combat patrol, and that there are combat patrol boxes for each army. You buy that, you build that the way it tells you to, and they have certain rules specifically for combat patrol that are almost the same as regular 40k, but slightly different, and can fit onto 6 pages. So all your rules fit on 6 pages, which is really nice for your first.
Yeah, that is nice. That's a good quick start.
Yeah, and then what was it? But unfortunately, the Leagues of Votann combat patrol uses a bunch of units that don't really work that well together, and also they're more of a horde army. So the way they work is they want to send a bunch of little guys out to go die, and then when they die, you put a judgment token on the unit that killed it, and then it makes it easier for your other guys to kill the guys with judgment tokens on it. So the dwarves are just a bunch of grudging judging.
Yeah, I love it. Dwarven grudges. It's perfect. It's good flavor. I love it.
But the problem is when your army is that small, and you only have 4 units, you're not.
You're not. It's not really working. Yeah.
So it works on a larger scale, but doesn't really work in the small.
You're doing a slow grow league, right? So it's going to keep getting bigger. So that will come into play later. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And there are units in that are just not very good, like the Berserkers. And so once we move to the 750, I can take things out of the combat patrol and add other things in.
Gotcha.
So then the Sagittar comes in, and then the Hearthguard come in. And the Hearthguard are going to be really important because almost all the other combat patrols, like there's a lot of Space Marine groups in our league. And so there's a lot of Terminators. And Terminators just destroy my little dudes.
Yeah.
Like, not a chance.
I mean, as is correct.
Yeah. So the leagues have a Terminator-like unit, but it's not in the combat patrol.
Got it.
So most of the things that I was playing with last night, I won't be using in the 750. Or I guess it's about half and half.
Right.
But
upgrades incoming.
Yeah.
Question is, do the Space Marines upgrade past even your upgrades?
No, not really.
No. They don't really get bigger tanks or something?
Well, they do. But, I mean, on vehicle-wise, they'll probably move up a bit. But the way the Space Marines worked last night, was it's a lot of deep strike. So he only started with 1 unit on the board. All the others were in reserve. And then it can't be on the first turn, but on the second turn, you can deep strike them in anywhere on the board as long as they're 9 inches away from a unit. So basically he watched as I deployed, and then I spread out to grab the 3 objectives, and then he deep strike big units on them.
Emperor, the scouting unit has found all the enemy positions.
Yep, we go here. And then he moved, charged, and slaughtered them.
Yeah, of course. Makes sense.
But it took the 2 turns, and I was able to gain the victory points from those 2 turns.
I see. So your victory was never actually assured.
No. But
I see. I thought you were like, I was winning, and then somehow he came back. But now I get it. He just wasn't a present on the board yet.
Right.
Got it.
And I held it off for a round and a half, maybe. Kind of.
Okay.
But Yeah. I don't know. It was a ton of fun. It took me back. And then, so once we finished the game, we ended up talking for like another hour and a half, just theory crafting army lists, which was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, if you take this, you take that, or you take this, and then being limited by the points. And in September, the other silver lining is that there's going to be a points adjustment on all of these in September. And they called out the Leagues of Votann specifically.
Because they're just like, not there. Yeah,
it's like our basic infantry unit has a cost of 135 points when really it should be like 90.
Yeah, that's pretty significant.
Yeah, because they all have one wound, so they're sacrifices.
That's cool. Is he going to Nova, or any of those guys going to Nova?
I don't know.
Yeah, for those out there that don't know, that is a massive multi-day tabletop battle gaming conference. I will be going with several friends actually, now that I think about it. I'm playing one thing with X-Wing, and then the rest I'm just going to do free play because that's what I do at these conferences. So that will be fun.
When is that?
End of August, I believe. Okay. End of this month.
Maybe I'll try.
And it might even be like that, like right. It's like the last day of August into September. I think that's actually right. Yeah. So should be fun.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I like X-Wing better. I don't have to paint anything, but I get for those that like to paint it.
Yeah. I don't know. And that's been something that's been really nice too, is just being able to have a hobby away from the screen. Not that cards aren't, but like when you're at home, it's Talishar, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
For Flesh and Blood. So just being able to just sit there and paint, throw on some music, throw on a podcast, and just relax has been really nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into painting. I bought some acrylics. I don't think I said that on the podcast before. And I'm going to try my hand at custom tokens or whatever they call those alt art things. We'll see. I don't have high expectations because I'm not an artist, but I'm not unexposed to art. I did quite a few art classes, even like private ones, and I did paint a while in watercolor. So it's not like I'm completely out of my realm, but I am definitely out of my norm. We'll put it that way. And I haven't done art in any significant portion, and it's got to be a decade now at least. So, it'll be like picking up an old thing. Is that how they do it? Do they mask I don't think you can mask these cards. You think they do that?
Yeah, you can take painter's tape. You put it where you don't want the paint. And
that's not going to damage the card?
Painter's tape? No.
I don't know. I've never even thought about using painter's tape on one of these cards. I have some painter's tape in hand because I use it to ship cards out. Yeah. So I'm going to test it right now.
Yeah, you can use it to hold down and then like on the black borders or whatever.
Yeah.
Anything on there.
That's brilliant. That makes total sense. Like I never would have thought to do that.
It's for painting.
Well, actually, you know when I would have thought to do that? After I fucked up the first one. Because that is the intention. I mean, I'm doing tokens here. I'm not doing anything that costs any money because I know I'm going to make a mess the first like 5 before I even get a feel for it. And by then I will either be in it or done with it.
Yeah. No, I probably did like 4 or 5 different color schemes of the infantry guy, seeing which one I want, because I then need to commit and do an entire army of it. So I really like 2 of them, but they were going to take about like 2.5 hours per model, and I need like 30 of them, and that's the quickest one. And I was like, I'm not going to finish this. So I went to a very basic like 3 color. It's black, gold, and white, and some brown, and it'll just be much easier to get done.
Yeah, I feel that.
So it was finding the combination of happy with how it looks, but also efficiency and time.
Yeah, time is a factor. You don't have high school age levels of free time.
No, but also in high school, I played Blood Angels, and I just dipped them in red paint.
That is very easy to get done. Yeah, I had oh god, Tyranids, and I was all in. Like I got the fancy models and everything, and I spent so much time. Like I even did like the little custom battle scene under them on the little platform or whatever, like a dead Space Marine or whatever.
The basing.
And I was totally. I'm gonna make this super fancy, like in the magazines. And I think after the third or fourth model, so we're talking like I got the Hive Tyrant done, I got the Carnifex done, and then maybe I got my first Warrior done. And after that, I was like, I am so sick of this paint scheme of doing this. And I literally just was like, dry brush, wet brush, dry brush, wet brush on everything else. And then I went back with red to make things bloody. And that was good enough for me. Those, especially the like termagants, there's so many of them. Yeah. Not fun.
Mine
that
is
part I did not like.
Base colors, dry brush, wet brush, done.
Yeah, and there's much better paints now. Like the dry brush, wet brush was I think they had the wets, but the dry was literally like a way to paint, not a type of paint.
Yes, and it's still that way. The actual dry brush paint is awful. You still.
Okay. I just knew you had said that they have like specific ones, so it's not good. Okay,
it's fine. You can use it. If you want like a powdery kind of surface, texture, it'll give it that. If you don't and you just want to pull out the highlights, then you still use just white paint.
Got it. That's cool. Well, some things change, some things stay the same.
Yeah. And then they used to have like they were called shades, and there's still some shades, and what's the other one? Washes, maybe.
Washes is what was around when I was a kid. Yeah.
So now
those are the what I was calling wet brush. That's the washes were the thing that get in all the crevices.
Yeah, and now there's contrast paint.
Nice.
Which is a lifesaver.
Yeah, it sounds like the tech has improved a little bit, which is good because it was freaking nightmare. Well, it wasn't a nightmare. It was just an effort of love.
Yeah, and what's funny is they come out in different waves, and like the newest wave of contrast paint is the best because they just keep improving it and making it better.
That's cool. That's good that they're doing that.
But it's not like every color. It's new colors, so it's like a whole different set of paints. But then Vallejo also came out with this whole speed paint line, Express, I think it's called, which I kind of want to try, but we'll see.
Nice.
Yeah, the whole painting world's exploding right now.
The what is?
There's a ton of new paint. Like it's been a while since like a ton of new paint stuff has come out, and there's been a wave of.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, probably similar to the COVID lockdown with cards. It's like a lot of people were like, I might as well get models and start painting,
Yeah. So I've been putting on a bunch of podcasts in the background while I've been painting, just to kind of through osmosis absorb things about 10th edition. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them also talk a lot of hobby stuff. And they were talking about how like it was hard to find some cards during COVID. Mm-hmm. I guess miniatures and Warhammer was very similar, where it's just like you couldn't totally find them.
Yeah, 100% makes sense.
So now you have people coming out of COVID. You have 10th edition, which is the most easiest onboarding edition so far. Basically setting everyone at just with the index, no codexes are out yet.
Gotcha.
The only thing out officially is the core rules, which are free online, and then all the indexes, which are free online. So all the rules right now are free online, which is pretty awesome.
That is weird and not like them.
Yes, I know. And if you get which that is honestly, I was like, oh, they're starting to make changes. And then
that's a pretty significant change.
Yeah, they're still Games Workshop though, so they're pushing hard for Warhammer Plus, and they came out with this awesome army builder app, and it's free
for Warhammer Plus subscribers.
No, it's free for now. It's temporarily free for everyone.
Yeah.
And then in like a couple months, it's going to be for Warhammer Plus only. Yeah.
Okay, Games Workshop. Yeah. They haven't lost their edge.
Yeah. And then the way they built a bunch of different players are mad because like their units can only come in groups of 5 or 10, but then the boxes are sold in 7s.
Of course.
So, and then like optimally you want to do 10.
All right. So Games Workshop, some things change, some things stay the same.
Like
God.
the Rhino, I built a couple months ago. I built the Battles of Sisters of Battle Rhino, and it was literally the same Rhino mold as my Blood
From way
Angels
back
in
oh my
2008.
God.
And then you
Yeah.
just had all these like sisters insignia that you stuck on the side of it. Like it had the same inside and everything. It was
Yeah,
the
that's
same
not
like
surprising.
trap door on the back.
Yep. I remember. My Space Wolves remember.
Yep.
Probably the same model.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah.
That was
Guaranteed.
probably, you said 2000 when?
2008, 2009.
God, yeah. I was playing. It was pre 2001.
Yeah.
I know that. It was it was probably right before that. So it was like 95-ish to 2000-ish.
Okay.
I had to have been around that time frame. So yeah, probably the same model, same plastic mold.
Yep. And they still use it. Although they're finally retiring a bunch of the Space Marine stuff. They're calling them the Firstborns, and then now there's the Primaris that are coming out that have all this like crazy stuff on them. They're pretty cool looking, but
well, that's fair. They have sat on those model upgrades for Space Marines for decades.
Yeah.
Which, to be somewhat fair, is consistent with the way the lore works. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, also think about
never changed
the hobby value, right? So you buy a model in like the 80s, you could still have used that up until 2023.
I don't think that's actually true.
It is. Like the base Space Marine, you can.
You're allowed to use beakies? I don't think you're allowed to. I don't think, because that's, if you're talking back in that era, it has to be beakies. I don't know when first edition came out, but that's before my time, and it was only beakies before my time.
Okay. It wasn't that. It was the first time they were put on that size model, or that size base.
Yeah. I was about to say, because it was very different at that early era.
So probably early 2000s. Because there was there's a podcast I was listening to, and the guy, he's in his 50s, and he was talking about how if he just moved it to a different base, he could use that Space Marine.
Wait, what are the base sizes now?
They're the same as they were when we were playing.
Is it the 35 millimeter?
Yeah.
Okay.
28 millimeter.
It's 28?
I think. There's different sizes.
Yeah, of course. Like, but I mean, like your standard single unit. Yeah,
I think the standard's 28.
Okay. I may be misremembering. I'd have to look at it. I have to see it up close, but that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, it goes from 25 to 32.
This is way more of a conversation than I thought we were going to have on this. You brought me into a lot of things I remember as a child.
I know, nostalgia.
So nostalgia is a thing.
It's totally. And it's one of those things that can bring you down the rabbit hole so far that you actually just get re-engaged.
Yeah.
I think
not for me. But yes,
it can't for me.
Yeah. And it's good. I mean, if it brings people joy, they should jump on that nostalgia train.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's fun. So considering this is usually a card podcast, do you want to talk about some cards?
Sure.
So I got to play Sorcery this week at our local game shop. It was fun. Actually ran into your league's, I guess, organizer there playing his game for the league against another one of the players, and which was fun to just run into them, see them set up and stuff. But yeah, okay. So Sorcery, not nostalgia in the traditional sense, but totally is.
Yeah.
So if I had to describe it, I've been describing it as Magic meets chess, which I stole from someone. Someone else said that first. And the way I've been talking to people that understand what Magic is think about it like you imagine Magic played when you were first playing, like when you were a kid. You thought about you're summoning these monsters on a battlefield, and in your mind you're throwing fireballs, like you feel like that. Yeah. And that's how it plays, which I guess because you've played a few rounds. But it was a lot of fun. I made 2 janky decks and met a random dude off of Discord on there, which was really funny because he was brave enough to reach out to me. I guess I was brave enough to put out there that I was willing to play anyone. One of our local shops is going to be supporting it, so there'll be some sort of, I don't know, regular play night, I guess. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. But anyways, he reached out from there and was like, yo, you want to meet up and play? I was like, yeah. Yes, I do. Let us. So we're meeting up again this week. It was that much fun. So yeah, we'll do it as often as we can. And it's still interesting. So cool thing. So we played the 2 janky decks. One was Earth, Air. The other was Fire, Water. Mostly did that because Fire and Water seem to have quite a bit of opposition, like stuff that just blows up the opposite, which is sad and not a lot of fun, in my opinion. I think when we played our Fire, Water, we didn't really like it.
No.
So I put them together. That was the goal. And then made another deck the opposite. Unfortunately, Fire, Water together is really good. So the first version of the Earth, Air deck is not as strong, but we had a really good first game. It went really long, and we had all sorts of weird stuff happen, but it was mostly like a control game. Like, stuff would come out, it would get destroyed, stuff would come out, it would get destroyed, and not a whole lot of ability for the Fire, Water to land troops, which you have to go after the sorcerer. And then eventually I pulled them, because that's the problem. Okay, so the interesting thing about this game, it plays so fast that you don't see most of your deck.
Yeah, I remember when we played a couple games.
Yeah,
I reshuffled the same deck, and there were still cards, and after
totally
3
different.
games after 3 games, there were cards that I still hadn't seen.
You're like, what is going on? Yeah, when we played the second time and flipped roles, he brought out stuff I didn't even know was in the deck that I just played. Like, it was wild. It was a very different game, which is one thing I absolutely love about it. It does feel like every time you're playing, it's almost brand new, even if you're playing with the same decks. But anyways, it ended up catching up eventually, and I was playing the undead one, the one that can raise your critters from the dead.
Yeah.
Which allowed me to, once I had enough of them, I was able to eventually swarm in and get them. The second game where we switched decks and he was playing that deck, he killed me very quickly. I think we were done in like 3 or 4 rounds. He just had the right things come out, and I didn't have enough of the right things come out. I also made a few mistakes, and it was a mess. But I've upgraded that deck for this week, so hopefully it's a little bit more even. I still think Fire, Water will be the winning one, so we'll probably roll off to see who plays what. But it was a blast. It made me feel like a kid again. I will say it felt like playing Magic when I was a little kid, when I was still trying to figure out like how this game works, and they didn't have things like mana curve math, right? There was no such thing as the calculators that we have today. It was just like jam a bunch of cards in a pile and sling spells at each other until someone's dead, and the bigger the creature, the better it is, even though that's not actually mathematically true. Right. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of stuff to it. And boy, this game, man, I enjoy it quite a bit. I love the art. That's the real thing that gives you that nostalgia. Some of these older artists from back when I was a kid, just pulls you in. So
yeah,
good.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah. I've been buying singles off of eBay and wherever I can of varying things that I want, mostly to play with, I'll be honest.
Yeah, you said some of it's gotten pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the prices on the actual collectible pieces are just out of freaking control. Some of them are one-time deals, so they will be forever.
Yeah.
The stuff from, what's that guy's name that does the fancy art, the one art, who passed away? God, I always forget his name. Frank Frazzetti. Yeah, his art will not be in the beta, so all of those are just going to go up over time.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's a factor. And then anytime there's a foil on something that's somewhat rare, like the uniques, they are in the hundreds. Now, those will be reprinted, so I imagine they'll come down. I'm waiting on any of those purchases, except for, I am buying uniques, but those are to play with, not because I want to collect those. Although it's nice to have a set of alpha stuff if I can. But I don't think I'm going to have the full set. Just looking at them, it's like some of them I don't really care about that much from a play standpoint. So probably won't get them. Yeah, it's kind of funny though. The guy I was playing with, he's like, I'm just happy to play with real cards. This is really fun. Yeah. It's funny. You look at it, he's like, the prices on this stuff is insane because he missed the Kickstarter. So he's just waiting for beta. And he was talking about that. He's like, it's crazy what they are. They're still going for like $1,000 for a booster box, even to now. I think it came down a little bit, but it's holding. I mean, people are cracking them because it's really fun to crack.
Yeah.
And selling the singles as much as they can, and then buying more boxes because it's really fun. I will say one box gets you all the ordinaries, all of them, like a whole playset.
That's good.
Yeah. One box. That's all you really need. And then I think the good thing about that, and I hope they continue this design going into the beta, it's like you can just buy a box, play with what you get, and then slowly trade into upgrades or buy singles into upgrades. You don't have to buy like a ton of them, and buying a ton of them actually doesn't make sense because you'll be stuck with a ton of ordinaries you don't need and no one really needs. And what are you going to do with them, right? And you'll have because you only get so many elites and uniques and stuff in a box, so it is almost designed to force you to buy singles, which makes it a lot more interesting to open because every opening experience you get stuff that you didn't see before. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out over the beta because that's the big test. With alpha, obviously, alpha's alpha, you know.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes, though. But I'm having fun with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
What night of the week is that weekly group starting?
We don't have a thing yet. It's DD, so.
Oh, right.
Whenever they organize it, I don't know. It'll be post beta, like October is when that's will be decided. So, yeah, give that a shot.
Cool.
Yeah, it was so funny at the end. I was like, we were just chatting and joking around because we had a good time. And I was like, my partner was like, "Are you going on a nerd play date?" I was like, when I told her that I was meeting a random person to play, he's like, my fiance said the exact same thing. He's like, us nerds got to stay together. I was like, exactly.
That's so good.
Like, yeah, I was like, I admitted to her that it absolutely was a nerd play date. So what?
And your problem is?
Yeah, exactly. And I made a new friend. I came home, I was like, I made a new friend. It was so fun. It was fun. So
honestly, at the end of the day, that's what all these games are about, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Having a social experience with people that have similar interests, and whatever happens from there, it happens from there. It's awesome.
And having fun.
Yeah, it's joy. So yeah, it was good. Flesh and Blood. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, I went to the weekly armory. We had CC. I played Dory. Went back to something similar to my my usual list, with not the Decimator, just kind of standard. It's a pretty standard Dory list, but updated for Dusk Till Dawn. I have 2 of those choruses in the sideboard for certain matchups. I didn't get to play any of those matchups. So I can't talk about that, but I feel like it's going to be pretty strong. And I also didn't get to play. I picked up the Iron Song. Oh shoot, the new legendary.
The armor?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Iron Song something.
Iron Song Arms.
Yeah, got it.
Didn't play with those either, even though I probably could have. First round, I played a Briar, won that. Always scary, especially when it's turn 1 channel.
Yeah, that is scary.
It was a close match though. Eked it out. And then I beat a Katsu. Another close one. There was a turn where I ate like 26 damage.
Gee.
But I was at like 39 and he was at 5.
Well, yeah, I get it. You do that, but man, you start to sweat towards the end of that combo.
Yeah, you're like, how far is this going?
Wow.
And I had 7 counters, so that was incentivized. I was like, if I didn't live, I'm pretty sure. And like, I had 2 1-cost attack reactions in hand, so I could just pitch a blue, attack with sword for 10, and then be able to go up to 16.
Yeah, it was game over. So taking it was the move, but boy, you start to sweat. That builds up. Yeah.
And then the last round was against Kano. I bluffed Oasis Respite. It wasn't there in Arsenal, and I lost.
Oh, you bluffed it, and they called you. They called your bluff. Oh,
no,
that's so
they
funny.
respected it, but still.
Oh no! And you're like, oh yeah, it wasn't there actually. So he thought he is losing, but just going to go out with a bang, and ended up winning because you didn't actually have it. That's so funny.
Yep.
That's so funny.
But it was a good match. It's always a fun match. Yeah, I need to find room for 3AB.
Interesting.
I don't like the 1AB in Oasis because it's kind of just like a go aggro
hit or
and
miss.
pray.
Yeah, hit or miss, random.
Because Kano can go both either a more tempo route or the setup route, and against the aggressive they go tempo, and against setup or against defensive they go setup. And Dory's kind of in that weird in between.
Yeah,
where it's not aggressive but it's not defensive.
Yeah, gotcha. Should have played Decimator.
Not until I don't know if I would have beaten Briar.
Yeah, Briar's not really blocky, and it's really good against that. Yeah, that's fair. Actually, yeah, you probably would have lost that night then, because the two first would have been pretty
the
rough.
First round would have lost. Yeah, and I probably would have lost to Katsu as well.
Katsu's would be pretty tough too, because he's not really a blocker unless he's
so
playing the turtle version. Yeah, I mean that works. Yeah,
happy with that.
Awesome.
2-1.
That's cool. I have not gotten out to play. How late were you guys out? Because I was tempted to go, but I was like, it's going to be so late, and I really don't want to deal with that in the morning.
We finished around like 9:45.
Oh, that's not as bad as I thought. I thought it was going to be like 10:30.
No, we had 7 people, so we only had to play 3 games.
But if I had showed up, it would have been 8. 4 games. Yeah.
And we would have had 3 games.
Oh, no. 8's still 3?
Yep.
Oh, 9, I thought 8 was 4. When does it go to 4?
9 is 4.
9 is 4. Oh, I was off by 1. Okay.
Yeah, because then it's just 7 is a bye. Someone has a bye.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. Oof. Well, maybe next time. We'll see. I do want to bring that Icelander out again before she LLs, because she is gonna LL. Oh my god! I don't know if you've been watching.
No.
Yeah, she's done for. This season, she has 120 points.
Cool.
She's the only one in CC that has points.
Yeah.
So far, which actually may not be true anymore as of the time people listen to this. It may be true as of the time we're recording it, though.
I'm not sure what's going on right now, right?
I don't think it's done yet. Yeah. So we'll see where that one lands. But yeah, pretty sure she's gonna LL out. I will laugh if she gets to like 990 and then does a Briar and just stops gaining points. I would be very pleased actually, but I have a feeling that's not going to be the case. You know what's sad? Dash is coming in right behind, and we're about to get we are going to get a new set at some point, and that's probably just going to take her right out of the game. I'm guessing she'll be pumped from that set. So,
absolutely. See. I think so.
We shall see. Was there more we wanted to talk about?
I don't know. Anything else pulling on your nostalgia?
Not on my nostalgia. I am curious about some of your thoughts around Bright Light. I know we talked about it a little bit, but like in the meta and that sort of thing.
I hope it builds some more archetypes for Dash. Like, because all Dash needs is really a couple good like items, and you can build around them.
Yeah, she is a very flexible hero ability. Yeah, that's true.
Or I wonder if we get another version of Dash.
Possible.
Here's your tinfoil hat. Remember when James White was saying how every character in the first 2 sets are going to get like a Starvo treatment?
Yeah. I don't believe it till I see it, because we haven't seen it.
We haven't seen anything in this set.
I know, but we didn't see it in the last set either. I thought we were going to. I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. We haven't seen it since Starvo.
Yeah, but this would be a pretty good time to give Dash hers. So maybe this is the test, right? If we see it.
It's true. That's true. That's fair. Yeah, this might be the time. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. I honestly don't think so. I think it'll be Dash's boost. Daddy is Evo, and maybe Data Doll is the other one. I don't think we know what the third one is yet.
Do we have a mechanologist specific Fable coming?
Oh yeah, I have to, right?
Or is it a generic?
It could be generic. Could be a reprint,
They can't reprint Fables.
No. Reprint of like Command and Conquer.
Oh.
It could be a reprint of something people want that's in a fancy version. What would make sense in a is it generic, but is also like
Marvel versions of all the items.
That is probably what they're going to do. That is a very good call. I bet that's what it is.
Oh my god, those poor Dash players.
Yeah.
Or excited Dash players, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of awesome. Actually, I love that.
That would be super cool because they
especially if Dash LL's out and like Teklo's around for a while, because I feel like he opens up a lot of playstyle stuff.
Yeah.
That evolving armor stuff is crazy, and it won't be overpowered to begin with. I imagine that's going to be a slow build.
Yeah.
God, I love these guys. They keep coming out with weird new ways to play the game.
I know, it's great.
It's so good. It's so good. Well, anyways.
Yeah. No, I'm very excited. I'm looking. It's coming faster, I feel like. I feel like.
What's that?
I feel like Dust Till Dawn just came out.
Yeah, I think they are refining their hype cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So they do a release just as things get boring for the previous set, which is typically a few weeks out. It may also be related to the professional season. They might want to give some exposure to people so they are aware of some of the the new play style, the crack play thing.
Yeah.
Because I could see them putting that into tournaments for the upcoming year. So I don't know, but it does. I agree with you. It does feel like that preview dropped right after D2D hit. Less than a month, right?
Yeah.
So it is curious, but I kind of like that it doesn't get boring to talk about anymore. Used to.
No. Yeah. No. Never.
We used to have down times, right? Now it's there's always something new going on that's worth speculating on and thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I am looking forward to this set, but
month and a half away.
More for the limited than constructed.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the limited as well. Constructed, I don't know. Let's see what the I guess it depends on what we get with the set. If it's something that's awesome and fits with that Mechanoid, remember I wanted to play that when that was first revealed. Yeah, if it makes Mechanoid work, I may jump in. Because I as soon as we saw that card when it was revealed, I was I totally want that. And then we looked at it and we're like, yeah, that's not really realistic. Fun concept. But this might actually make it work. So then I might play a Mechanoid Dash or try it out at least, see what it's like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not looking to jump heroes. Although if Icelander's out, maybe I have to find a new hero,
True. That's your backup.
Yeah, maybe.
Because you already have Icelander built.
Yeah. I mean, I have everything built all the time. I still have Azuri built. I have Dragon Lady built. I have a bunch of stuff built.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be fun.
You know what you don't have to worry about?
What?
Dory Living Legends.
Yeah, I know. The glorious
Poor
thing.
Dory. She's in ninth place. It
was part of my decision.
264 points.
No, that was part of my decision.
She got nothing. I can't believe Dromai is as low as she is.
Well, she doesn't convert, and you only really get the points from winning. It's a lot of top 8s, but not a lot of.
It's crazy. She's very competitive, but can't break through.
Yep.
That's wild.
I think it's a very similar situation to Dory, actually, where you can just have good games, and depending on who you're playing against, the really good players, they know how to play against you. They know how to play against the Dromai. They know how to play against the Dorinthia.
Yeah. So here's another little question. Lexi was great. They took away her bracer, bullseye bracer.
Yeah.
And now she's not winning.
Yeah.
That was the difference into the Icelander matchup?
Yeah, it's the inherent.
No, actually, there was no Icelander. There's no Icelander in the meta when Lexi was top.
Right. But now because it's a lot harder for them to have AB.
Oh, because it was an AB piece. Mm-hmm. That's why. Okay. Makes total sense. Yep. Got it. Okay. That's crazy. One card. Mm-hmm. Man, talk about analysis to pull that kind of move off where you're we're going to get this one and boom, whole thing changes.
And not an expensive card, so no one's salty.
Yeah, it's wild. It's so wild. So well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
I think that's a hard one.
What about?
Just like how you can be one card from the meta just completely changing.
Is that good or bad, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. I think it was done well. It was.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's. So since neither of us are competitive players, I think it's irrelevant for us. Yeah. Which is actually kind of awesome, because that means for the majority of players, it doesn't matter. You know, your armory doesn't change. Sure. The top tier players can't be top tier. It does show you how tight the value is in this game.
Absolutely.
Right. But I don't know, as a top tier player, I don't feel like they'll get salty over it, because they just adjust, right? They just play a different hero or different strategy. And I feel like that's kind of the game for them, right? It's not about the games. It's about the analyzing the angles into the space that they're going to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it might actually keep it entertaining for them. I don't know.
Could be.
We'll have to ask one sometime.
That'd be fun. But yeah, I don't know. Yep. I'm really enjoying Warrior. I'm sticking with it. I'm not moving.
Of course you are. I'm really sad you're not taking on Decimator more, but I can see after last week why.
Yeah, because they don't show up. The people that
I was about to say, I guess I have to show up and wreck your face with some ice if I can.
Yeah. Then maybe I'll switch.
Yeah, right.
But no, I'm happy. I'm happy with the way the deck is right now. It's pretty good.
Well, anything else to chat about?
That's all I have for this week.
Same here.
Cool. Well, so until our next video, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.